April 13, 2024, 9:47 p.m. Iranian Revolutionary Guard launches over 300 drones and missiles at Israel. This is the largest aerial attack Israel has ever faced. For hours, the night sky fills with incoming threats. Every military base, every major city, under siege. But by sunrise, something astonishing becomes clear. The attack hasn't just been stopped, it's been utterly crushed. 99% interception rate. Key airbases operational, 0 strategic objectives achieved. Iran's show of force becomes a global humiliation. This wasn't luck, and it wasn't just superior defense. This was a masterclass in how not to conduct modern warfare. Iran made 4 catastrophic mistakes, strategic, technological, economic, and tactical, that turned its biggest attack into its worst embarrassment. Today, we're breaking down exactly what went wrong. Because understanding Iran's failure is the key to understanding the future of Middle East conflict. Let's expose the 4 fatal flaws. Welcome to Battlefield Insights, our professional analysis channel. This breakdown uses official Israeli Defense Force data, U.S. Central Command reports, and independent verification from Jane's Defense and BBC open source intelligence. We're going beyond headlines to show you what actually happened and why it matters. We'll dissect Iran's strategic blunder, expose their technology gap, reveal the staggering economics, and show how allied cooperation created an impenetrable shield. Hit subscribe because this analysis explains why Iran's attack changed Middle East power dynamics forever. Let's start with the first failure. Iran's plan was textbook saturation attack, overwhelm defenses with sheer numbers, launch slow drones first as bait, follow with cruise missiles, finish with hypersonic ballistics, all timed to arrive simultaneously. In theory, Israel's defenses would be paralyzed, unable to engage everything at once. But here's the fatal flaw. The drones traveling at 115 miles per hour took 7 to 9 hours to reach Israel. Cruise missiles took 2 hours. Ballistic missiles, just 12 minutes. This wasn't a saturation attack. It was 3 separate, predictable waves arriving hours apart. Israel's multi-layer defense engaged each wave individually. Ballistics destroyed in space first, cruise missiles second, drones last, like shooting fish in a barrel. Now here's what's shocking. Iran knew this timing problem existed. Their military planners aren't idiots. So why did they attack anyway? Because this wasn't about military victory. It was about domestic politics. After Israel struck Iranian generals in Damascus, the Revolutionary Guard was under massive pressure to respond. They needed to show strength even if the attack was doomed to fail. And it gets worse for Iran. They telegraphed their attack for 12 days, announced their intentions publicly. This gave U.S. and Israeli intelligence time to watch every preparation. American satellites monitored Iranian Revolutionary Guard bases 24/7, watching them fuel missiles, position launchers, and load warheads. By the time Iran launched, the U.S. knew the exact type of every missile, the location of every launcher, and the probable target list. USS Arleigh Burke and USS Carney were already positioned. British Typhoons were airborne over Iraq, Jordanian F-16s on alert. Iran wasn't launching a surprise attack. They were flying into a prepared kill zone. But strategic failure was only the beginning. The weapons themselves were fundamentally flawed.
Let's talk about Iran's weapons. The ballistic missiles, their supposed knockout blow, were based on 1980s Soviet Scud designs. The Emad missile has a circular error probable of over 1,000 meters. That means if you aim at a specific building, it'll probably hit somewhere within a kilometer radius. That's not precision. That's throwing darts blindfolded. But here's the truly embarrassing part. According to U.S. intelligence assessments, approximately 50% of Iran's ballistic missiles suffered in-flight failures. They didn't get intercepted, they just fell apart on their own. Guidance system failures, structural failures, propulsion failures. Half of Iran's most dangerous weapons never even reached Israel. They crashed into the desert or exploded over Iraq. Now compare that to Arrow 3. This is 2020's American-Israeli technology. It doesn't carry explosives, it doesn't need to. It's a hit-to-kill system. A kinetic kill vehicle separates from the booster rocket in space, uses its own maneuvering thrusters to hunt the target, and collides at Mach 9. At that speed, kinetic energy alone obliterates the warhead completely. And here's what made history that night. The USS Carney, an American destroyer in the Mediterranean, fired SM-3 interceptors that destroyed Iranian ballistic missiles over Iraq before they ever reached Israeli territory. This was the first time in history that ship-launched ballistic missile defense was used in actual combat, and it worked perfectly. This is the technology gap. Iran's missiles are unguided, inaccurate projectiles from the Cold War era. The Allied defense uses autonomous systems with artificial intelligence, advanced sensors, and real-time networking. It's not a fair fight, it's a massacre. 4 layers of defense, space, high altitude, mid-range, low altitude, with 0 gaps. Iran never had a chance. But technology wasn't Iran's most devastating failure. The economics of this attack reveal something far worse.
Now let's talk money. Iran's attack, all 300 plus projectiles, cost approximately $80 to $100 million. Sounds expensive. But the defense? According to Israeli military financial experts, the cost to defend for that single night was over $1.3 billion, more than 13 times what Iran spent. Let's break it down. Every Arrow 3 interceptor, $3.5 million, Israel fired at least 40. That's $140 million just in Arrow 3. David's Sling interceptors, $1 million each. Iron Dome, $50,000 to $100,000 per Tamir missile. The U.S. Navy's SM-3s, $10 million each. Add operational costs, radar, personnel, fuel, coordination, and you hit $1.3 billion fast. Here's the math that hurts. Israel spent approximately $43,000 to stop every $300 Iranian weapon. That's a 140 to 1 cost disadvantage. On paper, this looks like Iran won economically. Cheap attack, expensive defense. But here's where it gets interesting. Who actually lost this exchange? Iran spent $100 million and achieved 0 strategic objectives. Nevatim Air Base, their primary target, was operational within hours. Not a single F-35 destroyed. No nuclear facilities damaged. 0 Israeli military capability degraded. They wasted $100 million for nothing. Meanwhile, what did $1.3 billion buy Israel? Protection for a fleet of F-35s worth billions. Nuclear facilities that are strategically priceless. Major cities with millions of people, critical infrastructure. For Israel, spending $1.3 billion to protect assets worth hundreds of billions isn't a loss, it's a bargain. For Iran, spending $100 million to accomplish nothing is a catastrophe. But we still haven't answered the final question. Did Iran achieve anything, even psychologically, even politically? That's where this gets complicated. 3 failures down, 1 remains. Did Iran achieve anything? Did Iran achieve anything, even psychologically, even politically? That's where this gets complicated.
Now here's where it gets complicated. In Iran, state media declared the attack a historic success. They claim to have struck Israeli military bases, inflicted damage, and proven Iran's power to hit Israel directly. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Within Iran, many people believed it. This reveals a critical aspect of modern warfare. Perception matters as much as reality. In Western media, Iran's attack was a humiliating failure. 99% interception rate, 0 strategic gain. In Iranian and some Arab media, it was a bold strike, showing Iran can reach Israel despite American protection. Both narratives exist simultaneously. Iran's Revolutionary Guard needed to show strength after the Damascus strike killed their generals. They needed domestic propaganda victory more than military victory, and in that narrow sense, purely for internal Iranian consumption. They got it. But here's what they can't hide. Militarily, economically, and strategically, this attack was an unmitigated disaster. Iran exposed the limitations of its arsenal, wasted precious missiles for no gain, and proved that even their maximum pressure attack can't penetrate Israeli defenses. That's not a victory you can spin away. So let's bring it all together. Iran's attack was a failure in 4 critical dimensions: strategic failure, terrible timing, and 0 surprise; technological failure, weapons that couldn't penetrate modern defenses; economic failure, wasted arsenal for no gain; and objective failure, achieved 0 military goals. But this attack proved something else: the unmatched power of alliances. Israel didn't defend alone. American destroyers, British jets, Jordanian airspace, French intelligence, this was a coalition defense, and that's why it worked so perfectly. No single nation has this capability, but allies working together, unbeatable. The implications are huge. Iran now knows its missiles can't penetrate Israeli defenses. Israel knows it can handle Iran's maximum pressure. But the question remains, what happens next? Israel must decide: retaliate and risk escalation, or show restraint and project confidence. The biggest lesson from April 13, 2024? In modern warfare, quantity no longer defeats quality. Launching 300 weapons doesn't matter if none of them hit. The era of saturation attacks is over. The era of networked defense has begun, and Iran just learned that the hard way. If you want analysis that goes beyond headlines and shows you what actually happened and why it matters, subscribe to Battlefield Insights. Next video, Israel's revenge options. The 3 Iranian targets that could trigger all-out war. You won't want to miss it. And the links are on your screen.